It's been a while since I've been here. This project was started in 2008. I was here, I believe, in 2010. That's what it was. Anyways, this project was started for various reasons. One, Russian olive is an invasive species in the state of Colorado. Two, the main reason, because of the Republican River Compact between Nebraska and Kansas and Colorado, a lawsuit. And three, I sit on the Water Authority Board compact, and also in my current position. So the landowners within Yuma County said, hey, we need to do something. My board of directors promoted the Russian islanders within the riparian areas, and the project has grown since then. So, for those of you that don't know, this is the Republican River Basin, Colorado, here, Nebraska, Kansas. It sits over the Yuma aquifer. Main crops in this area, Yuma County, Dunn County, and Cheyenne County, Kansas, Dunn County, Nebraska, is primarily center-pivot irrigation. Yuma County is the second largest corn-producing county in the United States per capita. Also the second largest cattle-producing county in the United States. So, water is key. They forget that we also are high deserts, so we get on the ground and we don't get any. The mission to this project, very simple. We have over the past 5 years, had about 45 different partners. We still have about 45 different partners. Some have changed, but the four statements here are key. To protect water resources. That's not only to protect the river flow, it's to help protect the river walla. It's also to help protect the small agricultural communities on the eastern plains or lives within Yuma County. To protect native riparian communities, that was key. Wildlife, we had numerous wildlife groups out in our area help us Pheasants Forever, White-tailed Deer Foundation, National Turkey Federation, and some local groups. And enhance wetlands for waterfowl. And you'll see why here in a little bit. But that was a big key for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. When this project was started, it was still Colorado Division of Wildlife. And of course, to control Russian olives. We have a little tamarisk, but not much, so we don't really, I won't really talk about that, but it's being controlled at the same time. And we have a little red cedar that's encroaching in places, and so we control that at the same time as well. Red cedar is not listed by the same time. So, the North Fork of the Republican. Has anybody been to the Eastern Plains? So like Ray, alright. So Ray, Colorado. Most of you that raised your hands, you were probably there before my project and hopefully after our project. But if you went from Ray, Colorado to the Nebraska line, you would have noticed that there is a steady, as the river went, there was Russian olive pretty much on either side. That's pretty much all that was growing. So we had about 351 acres of Russian olive on 28 miles of the North Fork of the Republican. And we controlled, mechanical control, herbicide control, of 298 acres since 2009. And I've got a bunch of pictures, so most of this is going to be pictures. So here's a picture of just west of Ray. Yes, just west of Ray, the Russian olive along the river before we controlled it. But when you got down in there, it was thick. It was rather large. In fact, this contractor was surprised at how large the Russian olive was. He wasn't used to Russian olive being this large. I'm saying good 8-foot diameter on some trees. Huge trees, old trees. They've been there a while. I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this project is I grew up in Long Rollins of Durango. I grew up chasing sheep with my family and cattle above Silverton, Colorado, Ray, Colorado, I'll tell you right. I grew up fishing in streams around here, and I love to fly fish in the Eastern Plains. my flagpole has dust on it. The North Fork used to have some great trout in it, from what I hear from some guys that are 70, 85 years old. So in my mind, if I could get it back to that, I was pretty happy and stay out there for another 10 years. Just some more pictures. This is east of town, east of Ray. As you see the Russian olive, that's the river. It wanders like that, which makes this extremely difficult. It takes a lot of time for my contractor to go from one end to the other. It's also pretty boggy in some places, so we've sunk a few pieces of equipment by accident, and in places that the channel's fairly tall, so it's hard to get into. There's some other things that we looked at in town. In Ray. This area has no federal or state ground, so it's all private owners. And before I came to Yuma County, I had a private company in Durango. We worked down on the Bosque del Apache quite a bit in Albuquerque, doing some Tamarack stuff, and other places in New Mexico and Utah. I truthfully would rather work with the federal agencies and the state agencies than private landowners on a project like this. Because I found that while I love all my landowners, all 13,500 of them, and I know 13,400 of them, I found that it's difficult to work with them because if their neighbor does it and they never get along, they're not going to do it because their neighbor did it. And you're always getting the phone call back that something's routing and you need to come take care of it. They don't care that you're working on their neighbor's ground. So we worked on that. We get along quite well now. So just some more pictures of the North Fork, kind of show you what it looks like, and the thickness of the Russian olive down. We did have some cottonwoods in there, but truthfully, 99% Russian olive. Few honey locust. So as you see, we started removing. So if you go back, you can see a shed right there, a roof line. That's that house. I'm just further away. Same location, but just further away. This is what it looks like when you got down to the bottom. We just finished clearing this section this past October. Again, one of the main reasons we were wanting to do this is for wildlife habitat, mainly ducks. We've got a fishery there as well that's owned by Parks and Wildlife, but it's hoping to get ducks in. One of the concerns was that the turkeys would leave. The turkeys haven't left. In fact, they've become more prevalent, and the deer are still there. It really hasn't impacted the wildlife, but it has brought more ducks in, at least from Islands. So here's one of the pieces of equipment we used on the North Fork. This was designed fortunately by one of my contractors, and it worked well for the North Fork. I went through 3 sets of contractors, so we've changed quite a bit. This is they're just doing some piling, and I'm just going to go through and show you some of the stuff that it looked like when it was done. A group that came down to look at it. Kelly Ewing used to be the state weed coordinator, CSU Extension, National Turkey Wild Federation, and then a landowner group represented here called Three Rivers Alliance, which been a big help. They're a local group that had started in the Three Rivers, being the North Fork, the South Fork of the Republican, and the Irritaree, which most people don't realize is a river because it doesn't flow very often. So this is what we looked like when we got done. All those bare areas, and yes, they're bare. I promise you they didn't stay bare for long. That's just all Russian olive, and there's nothing underneath those. To show what it looked like, we weren't done yet cleaning it up after the removal. This piece of equipment here is, of course, a skid steer, bobcat, whatever you want to call it. But we built this rake, and I've got a better picture of it here in a second. What it did is it would reach across the channel. We didn't have to get in the channel, and we could pull it backwards, and it would pull all the trash out. And that was one of the other key things. We wanted all the trash moved out as well. So there you go. It's pulling across. It worked well. It broke every once in a while, so I'd have to rebuild it. But for the most part, it worked well. This is what it looked like completely when it was done. And I know because I had people look at it and say, man, it's a moonscape. And I said, well, don't worry. It's all going to come back. It'll look good. But you have to remember, that was solid Russian olive, and there was nothing else under those trees. And so it has. I should have put the picture in here. I didn't put the picture in here, but I've got some other pictures in the South Fork to show you. And the North Fork is the same way. This ranch has since changed hands. And the gentleman that owns it now called me and said, hey, come down. We've got a few resprouts. And we have had some resprouts. So we let them go for 2 years, and then my guys go in and spray them. We haven't done much revenge on any of the North Fork. Let it go for 2 to 3 years, depending on the property, and then we'll go through and see what's came up and what we need to go in and do. And so far, we've only had one property that we've done any revenge work on. Most of these, all native species have came back in, a few annual weeds, and of course, we always have Nebraska and Kansas thistle that seem like to pop up, but we're going to take care of that as well. So the South Fork of the Republican, it's 43 miles in length. Just in the Colorado portion, we had 2,938 acres of Russian olive, 349 acres of tamarisk around Bonnie Reservoir. If any of you have been following the Republican River Compact, we don't have to worry about Bonnie Reservoir anymore. It was drained, probably never be refilled, and 743 acres of Russian olive to date have been removed. Stakeholders meeting. So I had it's 2 different projects. Actually, it's 3 different projects. I have the North Fork, I have the Rickery, and I have the South Fork. The South Fork brought in quite a few more partners because I had gentlemen there from Kansas, gentlemen from Nebraska, state senators, governor, aides, anybody we could get to come look at this. So this is just a picture of the meeting. There was, at this meeting, the table won't show up, but there was 100 people that showed up to the meeting. There was about 40 that stayed for the rest of the meeting. So this is the South Fork of the Republican, where Sand Creek comes into it, looking back to the west. This isn't bad. This is what we like. We get rid of the Russian olive. I'm happy with this. This is a little further up the Republican, headed west. You get into a more Russian olive. But we can deal with this. This is fairly easy to control. The problem is, you look way back in there and you might not be able to see it as well as I can. The next few slides you'll see where we come up with the 2,900 acres. That's just a hair west, about a mile further from where that picture was taken from the county road. And that is all Russian olive, and it is solid for about the next 4 miles. One of our other key problems that we have on the Republican is the Bonnie Reservoir was built as a flood control dam after the 1930 flood, 32 flood that came through. It was built in, I think, 46, but it silted the river west. And so we have huge monocultures of cattails, and that's all that is. And that cattail monoculture runs for about 2 miles, and it's a mile wide at the thickest point, and about a 1/4 mile wide at the highway. I'll show you the highway here in a minute. That's one of our other problems. The water is flowing through. We wanted to work on that, and wanted to work on some silt mitigation as well. So, bad picture, but it looked like Superman. I don't know who took it. What I wanted to show is there's your river channel. That's all that's left that has flowing water. And it doesn't really flow. It does flow. You can put a stick in there and sit there and stare at it for an hour, and it doesn't move very far. And what those used to be, these areas used to be duck ponds that Division of Wildlife came in the 60s and dug out. And then they redid them in the 80s. And now it's again, that's the top part here of those cattails. I even got Senator Greg Brophy to come look at it, and Greg lives in Ray, and Greg, when I called him, I said, you need to come look at this. So maybe I don't think you understand. He says, I grew up going to Bonnie. I know it's a mess. Why do I need to come down there? Well, because maybe you can help us. So here's the cattails. We did some fixed weight aerial application using ClearCast. Here's Highway 385. And so this is just west of Highway 385. We did some fixed wing application in 2010 in July, for 4th of July, because I couldn't get a helicopter to show up because a little problem started called NPDES. I don't know if any of you guys are dealing with that. So all my helicopter guys said, well, we don't know what's going on, so we're not going to do it. My fixed wing guys said, yeah, heck, I'll do it. So we did what we could do with the fixed wing. The rest had to be done with the helicopter. As you see back here, that's some more cattail we did later with the helicopter. And there is a helicopter. We did that this last year. We did it about the same time. I want to say it was about the 20th of June using ClearCast again. ClearCast is a very good herbicide. It only likes to kill cattails. Spray it over the top of the willows, spray it over the top of the cottonwood trees. Doesn't ding them. It doesn't kill them. Might ding them a little bit, but didn't impact them much. It does a really good job on the cattails. So this is below Bonnie Reservoir. This is on the Hutton Ranch. This ranch runs from the dam all the way to the Kansas state line, bordered by some Division of Wildlife properties. So you're looking at a ranch that runs 4 miles along the river, owned by one person, which was very helpful. The problem is he had a huge problem, and the original owner, Jim Hutton, died and put all this property into an educational trust. So he died at the beginning of the project after we'd signed the contract. So then we had to go through the lawyers and everything else to continue the project. But Jim did tell his wife and had wrote a letter. He knew he was dying. Had wrote a letter saying it was important to do this project and to continue to do this project. So this is before we started clearing on the South Fork. This is during the application process. And just to kind of show you what it looks like after we went through with the equipment, and I'll show you that equipment here in a minute. Here's the hydro axe we're using. We had to get a bigger piece of equipment in there because of some of the trees. Of course, this is a little tiny tree, but I thought it was great that I could show the fence, and he's not breaking the fence, which is important in my country. But he is removing the tree. I can tell you that even beavers don't like Russian olives. We've tried to, that is the one thing, you see us cleaning out the river on the North Fork. We have tried to keep as many of the beaver dams as possible. So we have left them in. And if the landowner wanted them removed, that's their deal. We tried to keep them in there. So just show you the size of some of the trees. Of course, we're using either Pathfinder 2 or Triclopyr or Blue Dye to market. Some of these, if you'd been in here in 2010, you'd have seen these photos as well. So we'll go back here for a minute. I want you to look at this and remember what it looks like. This is the same location a year after we got done. Okay. Of course, we still got some areas. Most of this is from releases from Bonnie where the scouring is. This gentleman that has this now runs about 1,200 head of yearlings on this property, or he'll calve on it, depending on pretty much what he feels like. There's the piles, as you can see. We didn't grind any of this because I didn't have an extra $100,000 to buy a grinder. I'll be honest. So what we did is we rigged them, and we use them for windbreaks for my cattlemen and or wildlife. And I learned a trick in Texas. If you go into the mesquite piles there, they'll throw some pro-soil millet out on those mesquite piles, and that millet comes up through the top, and birds love it, wildlife love it. So we've been playing with these piles, throwing some other things in them to see if we can do the same thing, and they melt a little faster. So we keep playing. As you can see, it's pretty much native grass, some annual weeds, nothing major, nothing that can't be taken care of. But what did happen, on the other side of this bridge is the same piece of property. There's musk thistle that just followed the river's bed. And we've been fighting the musk thistle on this property for quite a while. It's just helped us get rid of it. So here's 2 years. This was last year. This was after they'd released Bonnie. It's about a week apart on a year. Here's Bonnie Reservoir at the moment. Completely dry. That is a sea of duckweed and Canada thistle. I said we had some tamarisk in 2005. We started getting a bathtub ring effect around Bonnie Reservoir. We get a lot of cottonwood trees that came in as well. We were one of the first places in the state with Dr. Andrew Norton and the Department of Agriculture to release the beetles. I'll tell you right now, they didn't work in Yuma County for whatever reason. They just didn't work. We released them numerous times and they didn't work. I'm hoping Dan, I see him shaking his head, I'm hoping they figured out why. I'm guessing we were just too far north. So, but we do have this. This is lovely. This is Canada. So when I got there, we had about 400 acres of it at Bonnie Reservoir. Julie has done some research out there for me, Dr. Beck at CSU, but it was Canada thistle, some tamarisk, and 1 or 2 cottonwood trees when they started to drain this reservoir. To tell you what it looks like now, and I don't have a picture of it, the cottonwoods have outcompeted the Russian olives. Let me back up. The cottonwoods have outcompeted the salt cedar. And so the majority of my salt cedar has died or disappeared, or isn't there any longer. But I have solid stands of cottonwoods, which is good to a point, but is also bad because now we have a complete mess down there. That if this reservoir ever does see that flood again, I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. So today we've used $7,778, $53,000 on cattail work, $760,778 total for the entire project. $371,870 has been in grant money, and my district has put in another $370,000 for this year. My district. So if you take the grant money we've got off, Yuma County Pest District has put the rest of the money towards this project. We will put another $370,000 out of it this year. Plus, we have some other grant money, $190,000 from CWCB and a couple other groups. So, I have a lot of people I'd like to thank on this project, but my top 4 are Three Rivers Alliance. TRA is a great organization. You guys get a chance, go to their website, just type in Three Rivers Alliance, Yuma County, Colorado. Great little group. Colorado Water Conservation Board, the Republican Water Conservation District, and Colorado Corridors Association. And I have some articles, if you want, that I brought that they did on this project. They gave money at this project, and I wasn't even asked. They just called and said, hey, we've got $10,000. Are you interested? And of course, I said, sure. So there's my contact information. And I don't know if I have time for questions, but I'll be happy to take one or two.